The eruption broke out in New Jersey and Connecticut. Within 2 days, it spread to 9 other states, threatening to engulf the nation. Cleveland, Akron, Buffalo, Chicago, Dearborn, St. Paul, Denver, San Francisco. The strike shut down or curtailed service in 30 major cities.
It was infectious. It just kind of ignited the rest of the country.
And it was just built up anger and tension and the support of our brothers and sisters in New York that caused those in Cleveland and I assume in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco to walk out.
The strike vote, I believe, on Saturday morning was like 9,500 to about 800, something like that, for strike.
The world's largest mail service was on strike. It was the first major strike against the federal government since the signing of the Constitution 183 years earlier, the largest walkout ever. The Nixon administration cynically offered to negotiate the demands if the postal employees would go back to work. But the striking workers hooted down these assurances and stuck by their guns. This time they wanted actions, not promises.
The president got on the air and admitted that we deserve a raise, yet he's fishing around. What is he waiting for? He admits we deserve it. Why don't he give it to us and let us go back to work?
That the president now, who takes it and admits that we need this here, that tells us now to go back to work and then we'll talk. Organized labor does not do that. We'll stay out until he decides to talk and gives us what we're asking for, and then we will go back to work.
And I'm asking for the understanding and support of every American of this decision that I have made in behalf of our country.
Right on, we're going to keep going.
The president called on the National Guard to handle the mail, but it soon turned out that the troops couldn't do the job.
It's going to complicate things because, obviously, a trained technician is the only one who can handle mail properly. The mail is bogged up now, and as soon as the Army or Navy or whoever gets in there, it's going to be a mess, a messier mess.
Even in the General Mail facility, when they brought in the National Guard or whatever groups they brought in, most of them didn't do any work because a lot of them were also postal employees. In some instances, I heard that management would order those who were postal employees to train the others who weren't, and I think that training was very perfunctorily performed. So,
confronted with this situation, the Nixon administration began to deal seriously, and for once, the deal was to the advantage of postal workers.
But actually got retroactive pay from August back to April, and reached top step in 8 years, collective bargaining, binding arbitration, and also I think April was an 8% increase, followed by a 6% increase in August.
Later that night, we had a vote on whether or not to return to work because the strike had been pretty much declared over. I believe it was Nixon decided that he would grant some relief and some protection for the strikers was negotiated, and so we counted ballots until about daylight the following day.
On the afternoon of March 25th, 1970, 7 days after it began, the great postal strike was over and victory secured.
Retention of civil service status, compressing the 21-year time to get the top step to 8 years, collective bargaining, and binding arbitration. Certainly you would not disagree that this is a wonderful package. Those of you normally scheduled to work at this time return immediately to duty to serve the 200 million Americans who are entitled to service.
Since the strike, things have been a lot better for postal workers than they would have been. Postal workers won the right to collective bargaining, and for the first time, They got decent wages and improved working conditions.
We should be very proud of our history, because the only federal agency that has a right to collective bargain with its employer, the right to interest arbitration in the event of a dispute, these are issues that many unions today don't even have, that we have.
And in fact, frequently, most employees in orientations will tell you, well, the Postal Service just gives us these things. No, the Postal Service came screaming and kicking to the table every instance when we needed things to benefit our members, and the strength of the union is what gets that, and the strength of the APWU began with the strike.
The struggle that went on then is a continuing one, and we have to struggle today as well. It's just the obstacles have changed. We no longer have to fight for collective bargaining. We must make it work for us today.
There's an old adage, if you don't know where you come from, you can't know where you're going, and that's our roots. That's what created the American Postal Workers Union, and it just can't be ignored.
This is what finally brought some measure of dignity to postal workers. Not only that, it laid the basis for the birth of the American Postal Workers Union, because just less than 1 year later, 15 months after the strike, July 1, 1971, 5 unions merged, all merged to form the American Postal Workers Union, which is now 24 years old.
This union's never gonna quit. This union's never